lamang kaya mo yan sa DZRH sa bahagi ito natin programa. Makakausap namin ni partner Cory at ni partner Emer, si Mr. Marlon Stockinger, isa sa pinakamagaling at kinilalang race driver na Pilipino na umabot hanggang F1, partner Cory. Marlon, welcome. Despite your busy schedule, Marlon, welcome to the show.
Hi, Marlon.
Hello everyone. Hi Cory. Hi Tito Ricky. Nice. Thank you for having me, by the way, on the show and thinking of me. Excited to have a wonderful interview with you all.
Yes. Also with us is our partner Emer Gingon, who also follows your career as a F1 and race driver. Marlon, what keeps you busy nowadays aside from your activities related to car racing and all the motoring activities that you have, Marlon?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Tito Ricky. I think I've been very lucky after having my start out in racing, my career, which took me to Europe, the opportunity to obviously race and represent the Philippines, and show what our country can do in the world of motorsport. Winning Monaco, being able to test a Formula One car, bring that Formula One car to the streets of Manila, which was one of the proudest moments in my career, showing what the Filipino can do, is capable of in a sport like racing. And I'm just very blessed that I've had this opportunity. In terms of my career, finding a place in entrepreneurship and business. One of them being obviously Radical Motorsports, where we were able to now structure the fastest racing series here in the country. We're a sports car dealership. We're now coming into the 5th season of the racing championship of the challenge, of the Radical Challenge Philippines. And also my endeavor in a startup called Meta Motors, where we do live interactive racing. So we use simulators that connect to basically RC cars using Wi-Fi and 5G. It's a very accessible, affordable way for people all over the world to get into motorsport. As we know, racing is obviously very expensive. And this is just my way of developing access and new opportunities to kind of like try our best in humbling the sport and giving people that experience of what I was very blessed to have in my motorsport career. So, yeah.
Well, we know that you started very early, Marlon. Tell our listeners and our televiewers, at what age did you get into motorsport?
Look at that.
Yeah, well, I basically was into racing before, and before that I was too young because I was like 8 years old. So my other choices were either becoming an astronaut, a fireman, because that's all I knew. I was very young, right? And 8 years old, my dad, he had I think his early midlife crisis, and he said he was gonna go karting. And then he had he got me curious because I would keep seeing him come back to the apartment. Then I'd smell like that racing fuel. There's a helmet there, a suit. So obviously, what 8-year-old boy wouldn't be curious and wonder like what his dad's doing on the race weekends? He took me to Carmona. And then that's where it all started. That's when I knew I was going to be in racing for the rest of my life.
Well, of course, we brought you into the show, Cory and Emer. Nag-uusap kami, no? And because you drive fast cars, it's important that they're maintained well, right?
Yeah.
Now, to the typical driver, the one that drives a TNVS, the typical driver that drives his motorcycle, what is the the best way that you should do to maintain it, to keep it running well, Marlon?
I think so I'll just share my trick basically, and it's something I always learned at the racetrack is we live in this very fast modern technological world, but I'm still old school in the sense of like when I want to remember things, I
Uh-huh.
always write it down.
Right.
So I
Yeah, old fashioned.
basically carry like a notebook
Okay.
specifically for my car because I believe if you want to have a healthy running car, you you're the one if especially if you drive it. Let's say we're speaking about drivers who commute and drive themselves with their vehicles. You know that car better than any mechanic because you're the one driving it every
Driving it.
day. Let's say you know the bumps, the tweaks, the
Yeah.
history. So usually when I have like a ledger of all the things I'm doing on the car and I'm aware of let's say what I need to change when the next service is or if
Mm,
there's a problem, I can best describe let's say to the mechanic when you take it to the service and hopefully the turnaround's just that much quicker. So tip number one is, if you want to really know your car, write things down, things you want to fix or change, because that's always going to be the case with your vehicle. If you don't want to have like a unhealthy car, and yeah, write it in a notebook. Designate
so
that for the car you use.
in other words, sabi ni Marlon, mga kababayan, magdala kayo ng notebook,
Yeah.
at ilagay nyo doon yung mga nangyayari at mga maintenance na schedule ng inyong
Yun.
mga sasakyan.
Pero kailangan mag-ipon din ng pera para sa
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Diba? Okay, Ricky, your signal. Okay.
Sure.
Uh,
Question. Hindi pwedeng hindi mag-change oil, di ba, Marlon? Hindi pwedeng hindi pwedeng hindi i-check yung
Bakit na?
radiator. For example, di ba, makina ay tatakbo kung if it's checked regularly.
Yeah.
Tama, Marlon?
Yes, that's true, Tito Ricky. I mean, again, just being on top of your service, don't take if you see any warning lights on the dash, just be diligent because you don't want to be not aware of what's
Yeah.
going on with your car. And then being able to have a regular maintenance checkup prevents you from making more bayad further down the line, no? I mean, if you want to save money, maybe need to spend a little bit on the service, but doing the service, keeping on top of what your car needs will save you a lot more money further down the line. Because for example, if let's say you don't fill up your tires properly and then you end up with a flat tire, but maybe the tire might break and then it might damage the rim, you end up paying more money.
Yeah.
So simple things like go to the fuel station, check the how much air or psi you need. Usually it says that on the side of your car, right, with the sticker,
Yeah.
like the requirements.
Yeah.
Paying attention to these things, as simple as having enough air basically in your tires for your car. I think a lot of people forget about that, especially if you go on a long road trip.
Yeah.
It's important and it will save you money further down the line. I mean, I was also a driver for the first time on the road at some point in my life, and I had to learn the lessons the hard way, by not paying attention to those things when I was younger. So now with the experience, hopefully what I'm sharing, people don't need to experience that and pay to learn that lesson.
Yeah. Well,
Matanong ko nga,
si Emmer, go ahead, Cory.
Ayun. I have to ask you, Marlon, as a driver, I read it somewhere. The best time to load gas in your car is not noontime, not when it's very hot, because they say that the gasoline will dissipate faster with the heat. That you have to load the car early morning or at sunset. Is that correct?
I would have to ask ChatGPT to be sure, but I think there could be a reason for that. I mean, usually like I can speak maybe on the fueling side more when we're at the racetrack, and we
Yeah.
notice that engine performance picks up when it's early in the morning or late afternoon here, at least in like a tropical country like the Philippines, because the air is not as thick because of the heat, so you actually
Oh,
get better engine
oh,
performance.
oh,
So
there you go.
usually when the track's
There you
cooler,
go.
you end up actually going faster, and that's relative to how hot the track gets. So maybe
Oh,
there could be a
exactly.
reason for that in the fueling side, but don't quote me on it because yeah, I'm actually not 100% sure, but that's something I'll definitely
Yeah.
research after this,
You
Corey.
Yes.
experience
Let's
wise.
ask
Yes.
Petron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Di ba, partner? May
Well,
segment
si
si
Emmer,
Petron.
si Emmer also has inquiries because he's also thinking of doing hybrid. Marlon, what's your
Oh,
comment on the shift to electric and hybrid?
Yes. What
Yeah,
do you
I think look, there's a lot of I guess maybe or there's more of a focus on that given the geopolitical situation we're all going through, right?
Yeah.
And there are so many wonderful choices. Let's say, I mean, you can go from still lineups of diesel cars to gasoline to hybrid to EV, especially with the new players in the market. I mean,
yeah.
it's we're spoiled for choices. I think
Uh-huh.
in times of, let's say, fuel price increases, I think really doing your own research and not, let's say, panic buying just
Yeah.
because of like a new situation. Yes, the price hit for all of us. We've had to kind of like think about how we consume our energy, not just fuel, right?
Yeah.
Overall, like it's reaching different parts of our everyday lives that we're kind of paying
Hmm.
for in regards to the geopolitical situation. So I think don't rush your decision, do your research, don't just follow the trends,
Yeah.
and then you'll end up finding out really what you like to drive or prefer to drive. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of also living in this modern age is we can also do our own research. You can talk to proper dealerships, and you'll end up most probably finding the best car for the current situation. I think best bang for buck really is the hybrid space because you still have the option for an engine along with the EV capability. That's really impressive. The regeneration, the amount of mileage you're getting, and the fact that you can still use fuel. In that aspect,
Yeah.
I think for where we are here in the Philippines, yes, there are a growing number of charging stations, but we don't have as many as where those initiatives are bigger, let's say in the West, like in Europe, for example. So hybrids, that safe place where you don't need a charging station, you have the option to charge at home. But when you're on the road and maybe you're worried about like if you're gonna run out of battery, you can switch back to the normal engine and
Yeah.
consume the fuel instead. So I think hybrid for looking around at our environment in the Philippines, that's really your safest bet.
But are all hybrids the same?
I think Corey, no. From what I'm learning, like there are some cars they have the EV capability, the recharge that helps with the fuel consumption, for instance. But like let's say in full EV mode, you'd only maybe get up to 40 kilometers per hour before you
Hmm.
get back into using the engine, right? In the case of some other cars, you can actually use full EV at any speed and transition
Hmm.
back to the, let's say, the HEV at any speed as well. So
Yeah.
it really depends, I guess, on which manufacturer you'd go for,
Yeah.
what your preference is as, let's say, a consumer. But yeah, there's the technology is so vast. So I think again, there's a lot of options basically.
Yeah. Emer, nasagot ba yung tanong mo?
Since you have so many millions of fans, the youth are, because you also is a celebrity look-alike of Lucky Manzano, or here in the Philippines. When will you have a chance to have a training center, academy here in the Philippines so that the youth can really learn the safety, yes, and the availability of education, educating them the right, responsible driving?
Yeah, Emmer, thank you for the great question. No? I think here really, that's kind of one of my dreams. Is the most important thing I think I can do in the Philippines. I mean, other than racing, as much as I love it, but I did get the honor of being able to race abroad at a very high level with the world's best. Many of them who are currently racing in F1 or have raced in F1. And really, I think the biggest value I can give back, at least here in the Philippines, is all that knowledge and expertise that I learned over the course of my campaigns, racing with the best drivers. So the first step was establishing a legitimate, quick racing series, which is Radical. This has been really like a renaissance in terms of being able to share with, whether you're a businessman who maybe always wanted to be a racing driver, they're on our grids, or the young kids coming up from go-karting. Radical is actually a really good first step and platform into maybe pursuing an F4 career or going to Le Mans or racing into GTs. Actually, we have three of our previous champions who are now currently racing internationally, whether it be Formula 4, GTs in Korea with the Toyota Supra, or in Japan in like Mini Coopers or GTs as well. So my next stage and phase is basically academy. For sure is something I'd love to have well on the way. So it's a lot closer um, than we think. I'm already working on that.
We're
But really, the
excited.
first step was the race series.
I have another question, exciting question. Do you think the Philippines is ready for F1 Philippines?
You know what, Corey? I think we're ready. I mean, if you just ask me, like, in everyone's hearts from across all the people I've met, and if I see how many talented young drivers and the mechanics, the teams, the heart and soul of racing, from go-karting all the way to the top level that we have here in Radical, we definitely have the passion for it. you know I think, if we want to see F1 here in the Philippines, I think we all thought it would be impossible, or we'd never see that day. At least throughout my career, I was able to show that, we can get into an F1 seat. We've been able to bring the first ever Formula One car and drive it here in the streets of Manila, and, like, for instance, BGC for several years. So, maybe having a track, maybe
That
pushing
would be
for
great.
that one talent that can shine and get into an F1 seat. I think we're ready for that, but it needs a plan. Like anything, it needs structure. I think we can't do it alone. It's
Of
a
course.
team effort. But I think seeing the community, how much it's growing, how popular F1 has become because of Netflix, for instance, with Drive to Survive, more people getting access behind the scenes of the narratives, the stories of what these drivers go through, and making them more human and relatable.
Yeah.
More people can appreciate the sport, and hopefully we all see it in our lifetime that, we can bring F1 here to the Philippines. I think we'd love it. That's
Let's
for
do
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Marlon, we know you're very busy. You're in the event. Your final driving tip for the young drivers.
Yeah. I think really the most important, and I learned that very quickly. Racing is always inherently dangerous, right? So, but the number one thing is when I do that on the racetrack, we have really the proper safety measures. We have ambulances.
Okay.
We have staff, the proper crew, the proper equipment. Our Hans device that protects our necks,
the
carbon
neck,
fiber
yeah.
helmets. So the infrastructure is there. That's why we're able to really risk a lot more. And more often than not, if there's a serious accident, people walk away. So my best advice I can give to the youth is don't race on the streets.
Yeah.
It's not just your life you're risking, you're also risking other people's lives. And it's not worth
Yeah.
doing that on public roads, your safety, even if you have people riding with you, you're responsible for that. So keep the responsible driving on the road. It's not worth it. And if you ever want to experience what racing's like, that's why we have racetracks. That's why things like Radical Race Cars. You can do it in a safe environment, and all the infrastructure is there, right? So don't
Great,
race on the streets. And if you ever want to do that, there are many, many ways to experience that.
Amen.
Very,
Tama si
very well
Marlon.
said from a
Yeah.
champion. Thank you,
Yeah.
Marlon. And
Thanks,
hope
Marlon.
to have you again when the F1 arrives in the Philippines.
Yeah, we're all gonna be there. We're gonna make it happen. That's my mission.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That
Thank
was
you,
Marlon
everyone.
Stockinger.
Marlon.
Maraming salamat, and keep your eyes on the road.
Yep.
See you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Salamat. Thank you, guys.
Alright,
See you
bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Alas 5 na.
Ako naman ni Marlon.
Mga huling pagbate. Partner Cory, Partner Emel. Huling pagbate.
Ayun, Happy Mother's Day sa lahat ng mga nanay sa Pilipinas.
Tomorrow.
Sa mundo, lalo
Yeah.
na ng mga overseas o mga OFW community. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Emmer?
Pati ko lang yung mga nag-go. Katapos ko lang ng solar roofing dito, ang Celson Solar Energy Group. At
Okay,
of course,
good.
Magno Casins. Nandyan, nag-reunion kami. Professor Alex Magno
Ako rin.
Casins.
Ayan, nakita ko. Okay.
Uy, pag-usapan nga natin ng solar next time.
Okay, sa next episode, yun ang topic natin. Si Emmer magdadala ng topic. Tandaan nyo.
Ako lang.
Tandaan nyo, tuwing Sabado, alas 4:05 ng hapon, ako si Chairman Ricky.
Ako si Cory Quirino.
Ever Magno Gingon on your service.
Ang inyong paboritong programa, Kaya.
Mo. Yan.
Bye. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Kayang-kaya